Alright people, here we are. It's another beautiful day in sunny Las Vegas. Sorry, is the camera a little blurry? But we have a poker vlog today. It's been a little while. It was a tough World Series of Poker, I will say that. I'm sure a lot of you saw those vlogs. Variance is a thing. When you're playing a lot of these tournaments, people are coming from all over the world to have some fun and to rumble. And that's what we like too, but we're on the wrong side of that. So we took a little bit of a break, just kind of hung out a little bit, played a bunch of slots, made a lot of fun videos, got over 10,000 subscribers. So thank you everyone who's been subscribing, hanging out in our live streams. More magic to come. But today we're trying to manifest our own magic with this poker tournament. It is October 7th and we're going to the beautiful Venetian to play for the first time a poker tournament in their new poker room. They of course have a million deep stack tournaments all year, but it's extra special because it's in their new poker room now. So I'm gonna do the $400 ultra stack, I believe it is, 40K stack, 40-minute blinds, 150K guaranteed. Should have over $30,000 for first, so excited for that. And yeah, gonna go do our best. We will film the hands we can, give you updates on break, make day two, and then take this thing down. But for now, here we are, beautiful Las Vegas. You can see the strip back there, yonder. Can you see it? Beautiful day here in Las Vegas. Everyone, let's get a trophy, and it all starts today. See you on the next update, people. All right, friends, here we are. We know a lot of you maybe don't know where this poker room is. It took us a little while to locate it ourselves. We're at the Venetian. We're upstairs. We came across from the TI bridge as we parked at Treasure Island. And here we are. Walked inside the Grand Canal Shops. You see Buddy V's is right here. The cake shop, which, by the way guys, this cake shop kind of sucks. Don't go eat there. Super overpriced, super not good cakes. But yeah, so we're just gonna pretty much walk through here. I'll pop back in once we are close, but it's essentially upstairs in the shopping center here at the Venetian Palazzo, in between the two of them. So I'll fire it back up once we are right around the corner, so you guys get a better idea of where to go if you want to come play here yourself. Alright, so now here we are with the beautiful gondola situation, and shoe store is over there. I always base it off the shoe store. Shoe Palace. So here we go. You pretty much just come here and it's right next to, well, you can see right there, they put a nice little sign. It says poker room, very nice. Italiano music going on over there. And keep on walking, keep on walking. I kind of like it up here, honestly, because like so often, I know a lot of people, it's controversial, like a poker room next to a bunch of like pedestrian shopping retail stuff. I don't know if any of you played at the WPT 500 back in the day, like 2016, 17, those years at the Aria. Beautiful view. There's the love sign. So you just pretty much go up the love sign with the escalator. Oh, the birdie in here. You go up here. This is one entrance. And go up here. Turn to the left. But yeah, as I was saying, I don't know if you guys played the World Poker Tour event when they had the WPT 500. That was, yeah, they stopped doing that, unfortunately. It was one of my favorite tournaments, but that was on the casino floor, and I think they had tables in the regular Aria poker room, but they also had, because they had so many people, they fit right in the middle of the casino floor next to all the table games, and it was super loud and a lot of slots going off and people smoking, and it's like riffraff from the outside of a poker room. And some people complained, they were like, oh, it's too loud to focus, I'm trying to play poker here, and that's totally understandable. I, for one, love to All right, so that was interesting. My phone just had a software update as I was recording, and I tried to swipe away from it, but then it just started downloading. So I'm like, okay, I guess we're downloading. But anyway, as I was saying, you go up here, the love sign, you go up left, make a left over here, Michael Kors, everything here, boom, boom, boom. And you keep walking around this corner, and then, yeah, like I was saying, I like when a poker room is kind of around regular life. So many card rooms are just in a casino, whether it's an actual like Vegas casino, huge one, or just a regular like card room that can't have like table games or like slots and stuff, but it can have poker. Like in California, some places, it's just kind of, you know, it's fun. It's just like you're focusing on one thing. But I kind of like the sights and the sounds of the world, because as you're zoning out in between hands, it's not bad to have something to kind of look at. But anyway, you turn right from over here, and you see the poker room is right over here, next to this Miners Gems, Rare Books, poker room. As you can see, beautiful place, absolutely lovely. The tournament is just starting, so I'm going to register and get in, but first, let's do a little loop-de-loop around. It's huge. I don't know how many tables are in here. It doesn't seem like it would be that big, but it's a very good use of empty space. Eight. Looks like there's 6 people so far. So looks like a good table, so maybe I'll go register right now. Looks like there's no Vegas pros or anything right now, and this is at random time. It's October 7th. No World Series of Poker. Win is kind of having like their signature series, fall signature series or whatever. But there's not that many people. There'll be probably some Vegas pros coming on in the next few hours, late regging. But we're here early, bright and early. As you can see, this place is pretty huge. Now, if there is, I was here at the very tail end of the World Series. I just kind of stopped by to look around, and it was packed, but it is Monday at almost 11:15 a.m., and there's no one here, really. Tournament very short-handed already. It's crazy. It's one table. Let's see if we can wreak some havoc, accumulate some chips, make day 2. But this place is awesome. We'll keep you updated with hands shortly. But yeah, really, really easy to get to, and should be a lot of fun. All right, let's go.
Check. And our Wi-Fi work good here. Mine always like shuts off like I log on and it immediately just with the thing. I always have issues with that. Like on during the flight. Well, 100. Check.
But I did try. I didn't know that's the private side. I don't know.
What's that?
I think that might be.
Call. This is pretty nice.
favorite board.
Check.
Check.
Check. 1,500.
Cool.
Good player.
All right, everyone, here we are with our latest mystery high hand winner. We got the little pulled from the
All
front.
Can I get a count?
All right, we have a
23.9.
winner. We have $175. Congratulations, $175 winner.
And can you spread the pot a little bit? Sorry, it's not so it's... 3x pot jam. Are we allowed to interrogate our neighbor?
You can ask them questions. You can't talk about your hand.
You have to be somewhere. Sorry guys, take a second. I know you guys know what I have. Pretty good kicker too. No spade, blocks are straight. Oh, sorry, you said not talk about my hand. So exactly about my hand the whole time. Like, he raised 9. You don't have to call every 3x raise. It was 21, right?
23.9.
23, not 24. Shit, how the hell do I look? bluffs. Blinds. Will you show if I fold?
Look at this.
Like flare?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, you recognize him right off.
See both hands.
Oh my God.
Sorry, man. I didn't mean to knit roll you. It just was.
No,
I thought you had
you're
king
fine.
6 suited sometimes, something like that.
Good hands. Yeah.
Sorry.
I can see a scenario where you're holding that.
It was so strong. And it's just like sometimes you do that with a value.
I thought it was going to turn over to A7 spades.
Yeah, I thought it was something like that, like 9-10 of spades, something like. Yeah, that was definitely a knit roll. It's just like 60 big blinds into 20. You
That's
know?
why it's never.
That's why it's never value, right? But sometimes it is.
It's
You
never
know?
like nut value.
Yeah. Holy shit! I was just not expecting that one. You know, like the big overpair.
Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, like it's like he doesn't have to call.
And you saw him shove the ace king.
Okay, so we're on first break, and what a break! First few levels, I should say. This bookstore is pretty cool. So we sit down a little bit late, and I'm just kind of sitting down at the table. I look down into ace king, raise, get 3-bet, then I 4-bet. This older gentleman in the big blind 3-bet me, and I 4-bet in the big blind, on the button to his big blind 3-bet. So we all straight. We all understand that. Sorry. So it's a inflated pot in position though. Ace king, all diamond flop, no diamonds, like 3-4-8 flop. He checks, I see bet, he calls. Turn is another diamond, it's another low diamond. He checks. Now the guy in the small blind I forgot to add, he also called pre-flop. So I'm kind of putting him on certain hands, you know, like ace highs, jack 10, something like that. So when you kind of put that guy's hand in there, he could have had a diamond. He folded though to my 4-bet. So just kind of like, I didn't have any diamonds though. So the flop, I see bet, turns another diamond. So I'm like, well, let me rep a big diamond here. What else would I be betting on the flop? This is like the very worst hand that I'd be betting. So I do, on the turn again, size it up, and he just like audibly says, call. And I'm like, okay, this sounds so weak, but it sounds like it's like pocket 9s, pocket 7s, pocket 10s, or something like that with a diamond. And I just kind of shut down on the river. It pairs the board, and I just give up. And he flips over pocket 10s, but no diamond. So I'm like, oh my God. And then, like, what was he calling with? You know, he just like soul read me, or just like didn't want to fold. Is one of those. And then the next guy to my left, he was like, if you came here 5 minutes before, you wouldn't have taken that same line, because you would have seen that this guy's kind of like a calling station and he's kind of crazy. So I was like, oh God. But so I was immediately knocked down from 40,000 to 30. And then, so just kind of hung tough a little bit. The blinds were so low, still 100. So I have 300 big blinds, but it feels kind of gross to give up 25% of your stack to start. And yeah, and then I ended up like just, I guess, 3-betting one hand, C-betting on the flop, took it down so up to 32. It was like an ace-5 flop. I had ace-7 suited. Anyway, and then got moved to a new table, and I was like really sad about it, because I thought this table was really, really good to stay at, because there's a bunch of recreational players just having fun. And 4 of us, because there's only like 14 people that were registered at this time, 4 of us got moved to another table. And it's a bunch of like, you know, people that I've seen before around town, like good players, some from LA who live here now. And yeah, anyway, so we all get moved to a new table, but it ended up being an amazing move because I just went on a complete heater. And you saw, I mean, like, I'll edit in the hands as much as I can and try to explain them afterwards. But I had this nice guy. He was to my right, and he played some hand crazy. I was away from the table talking to the floor man for a second, and then when I came back to the table, I heard them discussing a hand where he was like, oh, I should have pumped the brakes, I should have done whatever. So I was like, this guy is definitely, down to have fun. He's down to rumble. He's ready to, not really give up on pots. So when he busts out a hand, he rebuys the hand and he comes back 3 hands later. Anyway, you saw I had those red aces. I tried to show the flop as much as I could. It was 5, 9, jack, queen on the turn. It was all spades on the flop. I had 2 red aces. Queen, offsuit queen on the turn. He leads on the turn, which you guys saw the hand probably. And I just flat, and then river comes a beautiful red deuce. So just complete blank. Of course, you can still have good hands. There's 3 spades on the flop, so you could have a flush, 2 pairs. But he kind of pumped the brakes on the river, and I'm like, oh, he just was trying to name his price for the river. So I just bet 4,000, and he just snap calls, and I'm pretty sure he had a queen, and we were good that hand. And then there was one hand which I didn't catch on camera, but I had king queen off, and this guy who's been active, I was talking to him at the other table. He was an active player for sure, and he raised again. Someone 3-bet him, and then I 4-bet, so it was to 800, then 2,100, and I made it to 6,500. And then the big blind cold calls, which is obviously a very strong, tight range. It could be aces and kings. Probably not, though, because he wants to isolate that, probably. So it just kind of screams of, jacks, ace, king off, things like that. Sometimes maybe queens, I don't know, 10s. So with the flop, and then the other 2 players fold, so the initial raiser and the 3-better. So 4-bet pot. Flop is beautiful. I have king, queen off. Queen, 6-5. Absolutely love it. I checked for deception just to because I kind of put him on a couple hands, right? Ace, king, or jacks, or 10s. How am I going to get value from these hands? So I checked the flop, and then I overbet the turn. He checked the flop too, good sign. Overbet the turn. It was a 4, and so it was about 16, 15,000 in there. So I bet 7. He calls with a heart. There's 3 hearts. After on the river was another 4. It paired the board. Luckily, not another heart. And then I overbet pot too. I just kind of knew where I was at. Just 1 pair. It's kind of scary with 3 hearts out there. But he folds face up with ace king with the king of hearts. So he had a flush draw on the turn. We got the max we could over there. Thankfully, he didn't 5-bet pre, which is kind of been scary. But for him to do that, But for us, we got to take that one down. And then that glorious hand, which I tried to catch as much on camera as I could. I had aces to another hand. I raised, overbet the pot again. You guys saw that one. It was queen 6-5. A really good player from LA calls the flop, overbet a bet 4,000 to 3,800. Turn is a 7, so it's 6, 7, queen 7 with 2 hearts on the flop. Check, check. I just kind of put him on a queen, or it eliminates him having a set, which is a great turn. But I just kind of wanted to wreak deception. If I just bet 3 times, he's kind of folding. I think most of the times he's really good. So I check turn, just a beautiful turn. Just no queen, no heart to get max value. And then river's just beautiful blank. And I just overbet pot 10K into I think 9K. And he called and then side in, thankfully. But then that crazy hand, which I can't believe I almost folded it. I mean, you guys tell me. The same gentleman who bought in, who was being pretty active, who had that discussion with somebody else about whatever. I could have played the hand better. I shouldn't have kept firing. Anyway, this guy who's been aggressive to my left opens the 900 at 300 big blind. And we are in the big blind, 4 callers, and I complete with 6-7 off. Flop is gorgeous, 6-6-8 with 2 spades. I have 6-7 diamond heart. He leads, the older gentleman who just bought in again, leads 2,500 into 4 or 5 people. I'm like, okay, what does he have here? We're just gonna call, see what happens behind. Everyone thankfully folds behind. And then the turn is a 9 of hearts. So it's 6-6-8-9, 2 spades on the flop, but the other 2 cards are red. So no flush comes in. And it's And then the pot is like 7,000 or 7,500, and he shoves in 25,000 into the middle. And I'm just like, what in the heck? And I asked the dealer to spread the pot. I think you guys caught the hand. I was so confused. It ended up being a nit roll, spoiler, but he shoves like 60 big blinds into this. So just my thought process is he's betting into 5 people. And sometimes recreational players, and I've been able to do it too, you just want to get the hand over with, and you're just happy with what you've got in there, and you don't want to let draws come in on a scare. That's a very draw heavy board. So when he bets jams into like 5 people and then one person has a pretty strong range on the flop, it just looks like what is it? Like it never is aces or kings or queens, right? Like he would have 3-bet pre-flop to kind of thin down the field when there's 5 people in the hand. It's such a great spot to squeeze in the small blind against a bunch of aggressive players. And when you're just shoving 60 big blinds, it's never like quads or something, obviously, because I have a 6, but it's never like a full house. But is it like ace 6 suited, king 6 suited? I saw him play some kind of like speculative hands. So I'm just like thinking for like a few minutes, and you guys probably saw that. And then I call after I talked to him, and I was like, hey, do you have it? And I was like kind of talking about my hand, you guys heard. And he ends up like just being kind of not nervous. He's just looking on his phone, just like scrolling with his hand covering his head. And then like after a minute, he just shows me his phone, and he's looking at Christmas sweaters. And there's a Ric Flair Christmas sweater he's looking at. And I'm like, how am I supposed to interpret this? He seems comfortable, but also like a little bit of nervousness right there. But yeah, anyway, we do call with 6-7 off, and I was like, I have outs. He could have like a pair and a flush draw combo, something like that. That makes sense. Like ace 9 suited, ace 7 suited, something like that, because it would have been an open ender and a flush draw. Betting the flush draw, I just kind of came to the conclusion, who cares? Let me just call. It would have been a huge part of my stack. But we call, and he has queens. So random. It was the most beautiful situation. He has 2 queens. And I guess he was just shoving to protect and to under-rep pre-flop. I don't know. But it ended up being a huge pot for us. So now we started with 40, went down to 30-ish, and now we're at a 107,000. So it's a great spot. I feel kind of bad for everyone at the table. Was like, yeah, it was weird, but like you just can never fold that spot. And I just had a second to think about it, because it just looks so strong on both of our parts. But anyway, now you see the poker room is right there. We're heading right back in. This game is beautiful, right? Everyone plays it a different way. Everyone values hands differently. Everyone plays them tricky in their own way. And sometimes it's confusing, but you just got to stick to your guns. But yeah, let's get back to it.
Players who only have 2 seats available, 3 5 no limit. Once again, 2 seats available, street five only.
All right, guys, so here we are, second break, take a nice stroll. I really like it up here, you know, because I love like retail shops, and it's like, look at this place, it's so cool. This little like nook over here. I like to see this kind of stuff when I'm on break, something to see, people watch a little bit and just decompress. I don't say decompose, not that one, decompress, and then fancy chairs, and then, you know, regather my thoughts, talk to you guys. But so this was a crazy last couple hours. So I got moved to that table, which I was telling you guys about, which was really, really good. Went from essentially like 33,000 to 106 or 7 or so, and you saw most of them. The hands I was talking about at last break, but then the table got really tough. A bunch of like local pros, and you know, like when people have nothing to do on a Monday morning except come to a poker tournament at the Venetian, it's, you know, they're pros, you know, because they usually be at work, and recreational players would be on Friday nights or whatever, Saturday, Sunday. But so the table got really tough with all these guys, and got put in some kind of a tough few spots, but some of it was self-inflicted. Like this guy was playing really weird, like limped with queens, just flatted an underground razor with queens, which is a 3x raise, and he just called, and then I squeezed with ace queen suited, and get a good flop to see bet. I have one heart, gut shot, and do bet, barrel again on the turn, just give up on the river, and he has queens, and I was just like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. But then after that was kind of self-inflicted, gave away like 14, 15, I didn't need to. Then there's one spot when I had queens, 3 bets, him, the same guy, a couple hands later, and the flop is 6, 7, 5, and 2 clubs, and then an ace comes. I bet on the flop, even though it's not like I'm representing only a couple hands, right? Over pairs, flush draws, pair plus straight draw, like those small aces that now turn into an open ender or some kind of gut shot. So you have to think, what does my 3-bet range look like? And it looks strong for them that I'm betting on this kind of flop, which may sometimes hit them. Anyway, so I bet with queens, so I have a value hand there. Turn is the ace of spades, so it's 6, 5, 7, 2 clubs, 6, 7, 6, 7 clubs, ace on the turn, doesn't commit flush, check on the turn, and then the river's a 7, and then he bets kind of like milk 8,500 into like roughly 15,000, and I didn't need to call here. Like, what does he have as bluffs? It just kind of like screams. I didn't have the queen of clubs. I don't know if that does anything really. it makes it more likely, I guess, that he has ace queen of clubs. But it's more likely he has like king queen of clubs too, and queen jack of clubs, stuff like that. So anyway, ended up calling, and he had ace 10 of clubs. So pretty gross there. But so it was down to 80,000, and then I got moved. Thankfully, the guy came to move me from a table full of all professionals, because who wants to play with a bunch of pros that are like slow and methodical? You want to have fun, you know? Like, I'm not like a super pro or anything. I want to have fun. I play a lot. I know what's going on. I study the game and stuff. But I want to play with people who are having fun, and you know, it's a little bit easier to accumulate chips, but it's also way more fun, right? People are talking. So I get moved to a dream table, and there just kind of slowly accumulated some chips. Nothing really crazy, just 3-bet ace king, pretty big, and then c-bet small on a complete whiff flop, and then luckily the guy folded. Pretty passive, but then that brought me back up, so I'm roughly at like 102 or 103,000. So went from 30 to 33 to 80 to 106 or 7, and then went back down to like 80 or 77, and now back up to where I kind of was, which feels really good, you know. That Phil Locke said that that term up stuck, and that's just such a gross feeling when you're up a lot and you still are up, but it just feels like you're stuck when you lose like 30% in your stack, especially if it's self-inflicted. But anyway, we're back in. Let's get back at it. And the late registration is so long on this, which is kind of crazy, but let's just get through and get to day 2. Let's go.
You need a jack and a 10 now.
Oh,
Or diamond.
shit.
Reach double up.
This table is so cool that you...
Check. Check.
George W. for the $10 bill. LB 510, first read 5 million for LB. Code B 35 million, code B.
5,500. Raise 16,000.
How much you have behind?
No, 2 checks. 5 to 5.
All in.
All in, raise all in. And a call.
I'll do it. There's no way to happen again. GG. Alright guys, this place looks like Hogwarts. Here we go, a bunch of cool old books. Alright, so we are on the 3rd break. Man cave? Cool place. Yeah, we're taking a stroll. 3rd break. Have like 193 or something, like 194K, something around there. Obviously, it was a very interesting level. You'll probably notice those hands that we played right before this breakdown. I like to just show the hands in person. as I'm kind of playing them, trying to record them and show the flop as best I can. Of course, I don't want to get people's faces or kind of get all up in their face, make them uncomfortable after hand. It's kind of disrespectful if you just ship a huge pot and you just shove a camera like over the screen. I know the big time guys do it. They don't really show the opponents. I don't know, but it just kind of feels still a little bit, I don't know, something about it. I don't know. I don't want to like get too in their face with it. But what we did was, you saw, we were up to like 95 or 110 or something. And then you saw I had aces against ace king of diamonds, absolute dream spot. And this player, she was a recreational. I was chatting with her husband at the other table when I was playing with him. He said, oh, my wife is over there. He was a super nice guy and they seem nice. They're from Indiana, and they were just here for a poker trip, and they just ended up staying a little bit longer and having a lot of fun. The dream, right? Super cool people. And so I got moved back to her table, and aces versus her ace king, absolute dream scenario. All in pre-flop, so it's a little bit less gross, but still pretty gross. And you saw the run out. It was queen, like 8-4, 1 diamond, and then bang, diamond, diamond, absolute disaster. So I would have had 140,000, I think, in that hand. She had like right at exactly 40,000. So it was about 100 big blind swing at the time. So it was pretty gross. So I was knocked down to like 60,000 after cruising at about 100 the whole time. 80 was like the lowest, right? But kind of stayed tough. Didn't really try to think about it too much. Of course, it stings, but in person, I feel like I'm way better with tilt control than I am online. I don't know if you guys are. Well, this place looks like fun. I want to go hang out over here. Social darts, but all these sliders right over here. Wow, looks like a ton of fun. Vegas, right? Even on a Monday, it's awesome here. But yeah, trying to bring you guys the sights and the sounds of Vegas. I know I was one of those guys watching Andrew and Brad and everyone, Jeff Boski, everybody. Rampage, just dreaming of like, okay, the summer's coming up, saving this much, planning out this tournament, but now here we are, trying to have our fun here and trying to bring you guys some semblance of that too. Maybe a different style a little bit, but you know, having fun. I hope you guys are too. Anyway, get that hand out of the way, down to 60K. Forget it, it's out of your mind, right? And then had pocket tens. The spot was really quick. I don't know if I was able to record the whole thing, but I had flopped the set essentially, checked the flop, guy bet the turn, super like the wettest turn you could think. It was 10-6-3 flop, 2 spades, 1 heart, turns the jack of hearts. So I check flop, just trying to be sneaky, and then he small blind leads turn. I raised small to get him to induce a little bit, but he didn't fall for it. I don't even know what he had, but I didn't want to let a free card come off, or a scare card for him, whatever he had, you know. So anything would have been kind of sick there to kill action, or either give him something like a 7, a queen, a heart, a spade, or something like that. Look at these. I love it. And so I checked up a little bit there. It's like, it always feels nice, obviously, psychologically, and for your stack, of course, winning a little pot or a decent one after you get a gross bad beat, like aces versus ace king, runner. So that was great for the morale. And then just kind of did our thing, hung around a little bit, and then the big hand of the night so far. Same person with the aces. She was kind of just chilling, and she didn't really do anything too outrageous before then or after then. And then all of a sudden she raises. She'd been raising pretty big pre-flop, like her value hands or her whatever, she would raise decently big. Like this was normal. She just raised 3x from like under the gun 2 or something. I was on the button with king jack, as you guys probably saw. Ace in the window, I just like call, no one else calls. Ace in the window, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna give it up. And then the most beautiful other 2 cards peeled out, the queen and a 10, flop the absolute nuts. So the pot is like 7,000, right? 7,500 or something, and she bets 20,000 into 70. I was just like getting my phone ready. You saw I was just watching like a video on my phone, watching the World Series of Poker, just staying in the mindset. And then all of a sudden I just hit record. I was like, oh my god, okay, what did you bet? I saw she bet 20 into whatever, 75 or 8, and I was like, this is absolutely beautiful. That kind of reeks of like usually 2 pair or a set, you know. It's never really just ace king. It was, mind you, the flop was ace queen 10. Obviously we have a king and a jack, so she doesn't have that pair and straight draw very much. It's usually like the 2 pair or the set and she's trying to protect or get value from somebody, or just, you know, over bet. Like I'm never going to call with like an ace there, you know. So only thing she's gonna get called by is a set or my hand. Anyway, I think for like 2 seconds, shove, she just like side calls, and huge pot, obviously like 150, 160,000 chip pot. She has ace 10 queen. Flop turn is a queen, so absolutely gross. She has more outs, but thank goodness we raised flop, because I mean obviously with that bet size we're raising flop, but if it just ran out normally, and the river was a king, so the absolute like worst run out it could have been, besides actually giving her a boat, an ace or a 10. So if I just kind of slow played, she would have been scared of that turn, I would have been scared of that turn, and we wouldn't have won as much. So just kind of like bet sizing is so important. Even if you have a monster like that, it's good not to slow play when they're just giving you every incentive to just like inflate the pot. It's kind of like trapping like that was so like 2007, I feel like, just flatting or just like something like that, you know. If she bet smaller, maybe we just flat, but she bet huge, and she obviously committing like 1/3 of her stack, so it was absolute dream spot. Get it in and holds. And then we got moved back to the old table we were at, because it's such a small field today. It was only like 50 people. So back to the tough table with a lot of the pros, a lot of guys, I think from like Lithuania or something. It's like 4 or 5 guys all in town just to play. And they're pretty aggressive, but you know, we ended up winning a hand when I had 9-10, raised into the other chip leaders big blind. Little deceptive check flop, queen 9-2 flop. I have 9-10 of spades, 1 spade on the flop, and turn is like a 3, and I like, he checks, I bet super small for value and to you know, see if he gets any floats there. He ends up raising me. I bet like 2,500, which was the raise pre-flop, and then he calls, he raises to 8,500, and then the river is another 3. So it's queen 9 2 3 3, the flush draw on the turn, bricks out, dream like river kind of. He bets 10 into whatever, it's almost half pot. Like these guys who are like really good like this are really trying to like put you in tough spots with like ace highs or small pairs, or maybe even extract value. I don't even know what he was doing, but I ended up calling with his second pair and it was good. He had ace high, he showed an ace. But yeah, we are getting in there. We have about almost 200,000. I said about 25 people left, end of registration. Let's get to day 2. You have the clubs. I was like, who has the clubs? That's silly. All right, good job. All right, we are back. Familiar walk. We're going over here. I don't know if you guys like to see this kind of stuff on Vegas. It's not always just gambling and poker and slots and stuff. Sometimes it's just the sights and the sounds and the cool retail. But yeah, so we are still in, thankfully. It's 8 p.m. We've been playing since about 12. So it's been about 8 hours or so. And it started at 11:10 random time. We got here around noon, around noon, started playing. And we have 117,000 now. This level was definitely a doozy. Got moved back to that tough table, and I just like was doing fine at first. I was trying to stay out of the way of these 2 aggressive Europeans who are just in town. Them and four of them from Hungary. They're all in town to play poker. And oh, look at this. There's some slot action over here. This is G2E. I don't know if that's G2E, it might be actually. Yeah. It's crazy. I do some slot stuff. Oh, that's cool. I don't know, it probably is happy something, I don't know. But it might be G2E. Anyway, back to this. Slots after we win this. So we had 190, I think, at the peak, 190, and just kind of floating around there. Blinds were raising. We were still hanging around, and then confrontation happens where I raise ace king 2.5, and one of those guys from Hungary he's been aggressive. I think he's just been getting hands, honestly. At the time I didn't know it, but I have ace king, right? And he had about 28 big blinds. He 3-bets, I 4-bet jam, and of course he has aces. Great spot against my ace king. Thankfully I had a sweat to have some semblance of hope. Queen 10 4 flop with a no jack Mehoff came on the Turner River, and that was that. So I lost like 60,000 there, so it went down to like 130-ish, and then just a lot of like honestly frustrating like raise and getting 3-bet by him, And I talked to him after, and he said he had kings on one hand when I had ace jack suited, and he just 3-bet after some guy called. And it's pretty a weird dynamic when you raise and then a short stack just flat, so 2x raise or 2.5x raise, and then it just kind of always looks like such a great squeeze spot. So it just looked like a great squeeze spot for him, but I just like disciplined, folded ace jack. I had too many big blinds to do something crazy. Maybe looking back on it, I could have called that one, but yeah, folded. He did have kings, so and then just kind of, oh yeah, then right now, hand before the break, I was about to leave, I raise jack 10 off, or sorry, jack 10 suited, sorry. Flop is jack 10 queen, same villain that had the aces versus my ace king. Flat's big, someone else calls on the button. Flop is, yeah, I said, Broadway is ace king, and he donk leads into the field. So there's 3 of us, he donk leads into the pre-flop raiser. Super strong, right? It looks like I could have ace king here, and I just like really put him on like 8-9 or king 9. I just flat his, he made it 12,000, and I just flat button flats too. Turn is a deuce, and he leads again pretty sizably and confidently. I was just gonna fold it anyway, and I did, and then luckily button jams, and he had queen jack suited, so I was just 3rd place. I thought I had like the gin flop jack 10 queen. Instead, yeah, I was in 3rd place against queen jack was the button, and then he had king 9. So pretty gross spot. Thankfully, I got to see that. He kind of like winked at me too because he felt bad. I think for the last few hands that I've been frustrated playing against him, he kind of gave me the old like shake his head when I looked at him. Just like, it's kind of like a nice thing to do sometimes when they know they're kind of holding over you. And he just shook his head like, no, like you don't want it. Like he knew I had a strong hand, and I'd just been kind of getting unlucky versus him, like weird like setups, cooler stuff. So he just kind of shook his head. I was gonna fold anyway, and then luckily I got to see it anyway. And that guy got eliminated. So there is 16 people left, and 7 make it to day 2. So about 8 or 9 people left. I have to double check how many people were left, but 8 or 9 people left to bust to get to day 2. The blinds are now at 3,000. Really good structure. These Venetian deep stacks are amazing. It was 25. It didn't skip from like 1K, 2K to 3K. It went from 1K, 2K to 2,500, then to 3K now, which we're coming back to. So I have like 35, 40 big blinds. Still very comfortable. Gonna try to run it up and get to a day 2. Hopefully some of the short stacks start busting. Hopefully they bust into our stack and we get some more chips. Let's get back to our high water mark and make day 2. All right, guys. See ya next break. All right, ladies and gents, I was gonna do the outro in the car, but I'm gonna go to the Win and play some slots really quick. But look at this. F1 season is upon us again. Is it awesome? Yeah. Is the traffic ridiculously inconvenient? Also, yeah. But look at this. Whole situation getting set up. I don't know what's going on there. As you can see, it's a lovely, lovely Monday night here in Las Vegas, and it's a little more lovely because you know, we made day 2. That is a good thing. Look at this. Some of the sights and sound. That's creepy, huh? I think I thought it was some DJ that was doing that. But yeah, day 2 is upon us. Now, was it smooth sailing? Absolutely not. Holy crap. And they say they wanted AI to help us. Huh? The AI is in that sphere right now. It's gonna bust out in 20 years. It's gonna be like that. But yeah, so day 2, what happened? Between the last break and when we reached day 2, not that much, honestly. I was pretty much put in jail, ICM jail, by these 4 guys from Hungary. They all came for like 2 weeks to come play, I guess, this series and probably the Win series that's going on right now in the fall. Nice guys. We were laughing a lot, talking about this and that. 3 of them got to the last table where there was, because 7 of us got to day 2, and when it combined at 9, all of them, 3 of the 4 were at this table. So all of them had a ton of chips. All of them had 400,000 chips, while everyone else had roughly like 120, 160, 170. So we were all handcuffed even before then. But every single, like, I played like, it was so tough. Like, I have king jack suited in the small blind, for example. Someone opens on the button, she opens it to like 2.2x. I just flat with such a good hand on the small blind. I don't need to 3-bet. I want to keep in worse hands. It plays really well post flop. You don't want to get blown off. It's a hand where you don't want to call all in, but you also don't want to fold. It's too strong. And even though small blind sucks, you know, if it was offsuit, I probably would have 3-bet. But anyway, just for example, she raises to 9,000 at 4,000 big blind. I flat the small. My hand is pretty much face up. And then the guy in the big blind, who was one of these Hungarian guys with like 400K at the time, I had like 180 at the time. He makes it like 20, 30K or something like that, 28K, 30K. And it's just like, you're in jail, you know? It's like, yeah, I can call and play post flop, but I'm gonna so often just whiff and give up like 20 or like 15% of my stack. And then like, if you do that like twice, you're just like really from like, well, guaranteed to pretty much get to day 2, of course, guaranteed, nothing's guaranteed in poker, to you're one of those shorter stacks that are kind of like on the fringe and just hoping other people bust, you know? It's just, poker is crazy because like when it's so much better to be on this side of things, and this is one of the things I need to grow to with poker. But just really putting pressure on people during that ICM heavy time, like when you're close to the money, close to making day 2, you know, people are kind of trying to like lock it up and just make day 2. And I would, if it's just the personnel, I've done it many times, just the personnel kind of like didn't lend itself. And then the card distribution, of course, stack sizes. So, but there's just many of those scenarios. And luckily there was one hand where I shove 11 bigs, and this gentleman who was kind of playing tight too, I'm a small blind, he has 11 bigs, effective shove, ace-9 off, he calls a king-10, flop is queen-jack-4, gross, he has like every out. I'm blocking some of the key ones with ace-9. Just comes break, and that was a very crucial pot. If I lose that, then everything is different, you know? But so kind of just held on, and now we are moving on to day 2 with, I forgot what it was like 155,000 or so, and the levels were 5,000 when we just ended right now. Someone on 11, 12 big blind stack shoved. Thankfully, the other guy who called held, and now here we are, walking to the win. But it was an eventful day. $400 Venetian deep stack. These are like some of the best value tournaments. I would say the best value tournaments in all of Las Vegas in terms of like buy-ins that are comfortable, and just like when it doesn't skip that, when it goes from, you know, the tournament's good when it goes from 2,000 to 2,500 instead of 2,000 to 3,000, you know, just very, very good structure. So we made it to the next day. Anything can happen the next day. Let's just run it up. Just so nice to like get to a day 2 after the World Series of Poker was pretty brutal. I think we got one day 2, or was it 2? At least one day 2 in the World Series. But nice after taking a little bit of a break, just playing online in slots, making a day 2. So lesson of the story is play when you feel like it, play when your mind is ready to handle the pressure that tournaments can present themselves with. In all these scenarios, I had to be sharp and just like not tilted from 10 million tournaments that I played the last month. I just made all the right decisions, I think. Those guys were running hot though. Seriously, they weren't just like pushing around. Like every time they showed down, it was a good hand. And the guys showed me a couple good hands. But it was gruesome nonetheless, just having to like, you're handcuffed, you just know you can't do anything. But here we are, poker vlog done for now. Day 2 coming this Friday, so we'll see how that goes. But gonna play some more slots. Thanks everyone who's been subscribing. We're at 10,500 something, closing on 11, closing in on 20,000, closing in on 100,000, you know. But for right now, we're concentrating on that 30 or 40,000, which will be first place in this tournament. Let's go. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Day 2 coming this Friday.